Hello, brothers and sisters. Brother Trey here again for another Bible study. Last time we did Genesis chapter 36, we're talking about how the Lord had blessed Esau and named off his generations. Today, we're doing Genesis chapter 37, and it reads, "And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger in the land of Canaan." So Jacob dwelt in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob, but it doesn't list them. It says Joseph being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, with the sons of Zilpah, and his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. So he had been with his brethren at the flock, and he went to tattle, being 17 years old, on his older brothers. Now, Israel loved Joseph more than all his brethren, because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a coat of many colors. So Joseph was the favorite. His mother being Jacob's favorite wife that he worked hard for 14 years to get. He loved her very much. And then she had Joseph, and he was the favorite. He was the son he loved the most for a very long time. And since he was the favorite, he made him a coat of many colors. Gave him the gift, the coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peacefully in him. So they knew, it said he was the favorite, the spoiled one. The spoiled one, that they couldn't say anything nice to him because they hated him so much. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren. And they hated him yet the more. So he told them a dream, and they hated him even more. And he said unto them, "Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed." So he said, I want you to listen to this dream I just had. "For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field." So sheaves are a bundle of wheat stalks. They cut them out of the field and bundle them together, and they go take them to the threshing floor and get the kernels out. And in order for them to make flour with the kernels, and the stalks they make straw out of for like your animals, or to make bricks and stuff. If you remember that from Moses and them. Says, "And lo, my sheaf arose, stood up, and it stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about," which stood around his sheaf, "and made obeisance to my sheaf," to bow down to his sheaf. And his brethren said unto him, "Shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have many dominion over us?" And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. So in this dream, they interpreted it saying, and it was quite obvious, that he was trying to say that they would bow down to him, and he would be ruling over them. They just thought he was a prideful, arrogant young man. So he's just saying this pridefully out of his dream and just making stuff up, saying he was better than them. And he dreamed yet another dream, and he told it his brethren, and said, "Behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me." So sun and moon and 11 stars representing his brother. But then he told it to his father, and he said to his brethren, and his father rebuked him, chastised him, got on to him, scolded him, and said to him, "What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee? So the celestials, the bigger ones, or the sun and moon, would represent the father and the mother, at least in the dream. And the 11 stars will be his brothers, right? So he's asking, shall we all bow down to you? His father is asking this. And his brethren envied him, hated him even more. But his father observed this thing. So he was trying to examine it, to see if the Lord, probably to see if the Lord was speaking in this, because Jacob had experience with how the Lord would speak. And his brethren went to feed their father. His brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said unto Jacob, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, here am I. So he's sending Joseph to go check on his brothers in Shechem as they feed the flock. And he said to them, go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he went out of the vale of Hebron. He came to Shechem. So he sent them out to go check on his siblings in Shechem, see if everything was going okay with them and with the sheep, and out of the vale of Hebron. So I'm guessing that's where his father was, and out of his sight, out of his protection. So anything can happen. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field, and the man asked him, saying, what seekest thou? So the man saw him wandering about in the field, and looked like he was looking for something. He's like, so what are you looking? He asked, what are you looking for? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. So he was wondering, can you tell me where they are, where they're feeding their flocks? And the man said, they are departed hence, for I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dothan. So they were where the man said they were going. And when they saw him afar off, before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. So while he was on his way, while they saw him coming, they conspired to kill him because they hated him that much. And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. This dreamer cometh. Now come therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit. And we'll say some evil beast had devoured him, and we shall see what will happen of his dreams. So they said, let's conspire, let's kill him, let's throw him in a pit, and we will say some evil beast has devoured him because they couldn't present the body. And we will see what becomes of the dream. Because if he's the dead man, he can't reign over them, right? Like his dreams were being interpreted. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. So let's not kill him, Reuben says. And Reuben said unto him, shed no blood, but cast him into the pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands to deliver him to his father again. So he's trying to talk him out of killing him, but just to throw him into the pit. Maybe teach him a little bit of lesson, but he's still hoping to deliver Joseph back to his father again. And it came to pass, when Joseph was coming to his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on. So they took off his coat, his precious coat that his father had given him. And they took him and cast him into a pit. And the pit was empty, there was no water in it. So they threw him in the pit. And they sat down to eat bread. And they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead, with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. So we had some traders, the Ishmaelite traders, coming from Gilead, carrying some stuff. So the brothers stopped eating dinner and went to meet the merchants. So, and Judah said unto his brethren, what profit is it that if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come, let us sell him to the Ishmaelites. Let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother in our flesh, and his brethren were content. So they wouldn't be guilty probably before God. I don't know. But they felt bad about trying to kill him anymore. But it would be better for them to just sell him into slavery, so it benefits them financially. They'd be rid of him, but he's not dead. So the blood wouldn't be on their hands. They just got rid of him. Seemed like a better idea. Then they were passed by Midianite merchantmen. They drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit. So they took the Midianite merchantmen, took him out of the pit, sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And they brought Joseph into Egypt. So they took him out of the pit and sold him for 20 pieces of silver. And they brought him into Egypt. And Reuben returned unto the pit. Excuse me. And returned to the pit. And behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. So Reuben returned, and Joseph wasn't in the pit like he thought he was going to be in there. And he rent his clothes because he didn't know what happened. He was mournful. He was sad. Overwhelmed. And so that was custom for them to tear their clothing when they were sad, when they were mourning, or whatever, or distraught in some way. So, and he returned unto his brethren and said, the child is not, and I, where shall I go? So he went back to his brothers, and he said, the child is not. He said, where shall I go? Or whither shall I go? I mean, to me, that would be like, I would be asking, where shall I go? Where did he go? That's what I would be asking my brothers. And they took Joseph's coat and killed the kid of the goats and dipped the coat in the blood to make it look like something happened to Joseph, even though they knew he just sold him into slavery and make it look like he'd been attacked and killed. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, we found out. Know now whether it be thy son's coat or not. So after they dipped the coat in blood, they took it to their father and asked, we found this coat. We found this. Is this your son's coat or not? And he knew it. Sorry, my dogs are growling. I'm trying to do this. And he knew it. He said, it is my son's coat. And an evil beast hath devoured him. So Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces. So with the blood and how the coat was, he had no doubt in Jacob's mind. There was no doubt in Jacob's mind that Joseph had been torn to pieces by some evil beast, possibly a lion or something, in the wilderness on his way to go see his brothers. And he says, without doubt, Joseph's torn apart. So Jacob rent his clothes, like I said about tearing his clothes, and put sackcloth upon his loins, because of that. It's common in tradition for like mourning and stuff. And he mourned for his sons many days. And all his sons and all his daughters arose up to comfort him, and he refused to be comforted. He said, for I will go down to the grave until mourning my son. Thus his father wept for him. So he put on sackcloth upon his loins, and he mourned for his son many days, and refused to be comforted by his sons and daughters. He says, I will go down into the grave, mourning my son. So in sadness, in mourning, he is proclaiming that he is going to die, because he misses his son. He is that sad. He's very depressed, very low in emotional stature at this point. And then he was crying. He wept, of course. And the Midianites, Jacob was like hopeless, and there was no point to living anymore because his son died after he just sent him to go check on his brethren. So maybe he was kind of blaming himself for sending him at this point. The Midianites sold Joseph into Egypt unto Potiphar, who was an officer of Pharaoh's and captain of the guard. So, in position to be serving Potiphar, the captain of Pharaoh's guard. So that was selling him to a very important person in the land of Egypt. So it would set it up wonderfully for what's coming. So the Lord works in mysterious ways, and Joseph later says, they were blaming themselves. They were worried about if Joseph would take revenge on him for betraying him like they did. Said the Lord had his best in intentions. It was the Lord's doing that they did that. So maybe the Lord stirred them up and stirred them up to hatred, so that they would betray him and give him up. The Lord can work in mysterious ways, but favoritism. I mean, parents sometimes have that. They have a favorite child. They get along. They just have a better relationship with that child, I think. But excuse me. Sometimes children want to go do their own thing because their own individuality. They don't think they don't really know their parent that much, so they don't make an effort to get to know their parent and find common likes and stuff, so they can, just have that relationship or something. But Joseph just got a lot better along better with Jacob, and then because Jacob was born of his favorite wife, and he was the firstborn of his favorite wife, then without the use of a concubine, that he was the favorite. He was beloved like his mother was beloved, and therefore he spoiled him. He gave him gifts. That's what happens when, normally you're the favorite. You want to bless them. You're connected. You have a close relationship that you want to give gifts to this person, that you want to show that you care, and stuff like that. I don't know what kind of relationship. We just know that he had with the others. We just know he was closer to Joseph. So they hated him, and it's not. I know we as not being the favorite, we can be jealous of the one that is the favorite, and we may not like him so much. We might hate him, might pick on him. Like they probably picked on him as they were growing up, and not being very nice. They did not speak peaceably to him because he was the favorite. They didn't treat him well. And clearly it got worse and worse as they grew up. He was only 17 years old. Hard telling how old the rest of them were. Could be in the 20s, 30s, possibly in 40s, or longer, because they would space them out. But I think they were the one right after another. But I think that maybe they were 20s, possibly 30s, with all the rest of the brethren born first. So Joseph was number 11, 11 son, or if you count Dinah, then he was like number 12, but number 12 sibling. But for the sons, he was number 11, and youngest possibly at the time. But Benjamin was born by the time I said that a couple of chapters ago. So, they hated him very, very much. And you could, hated him very, very much. They had their feelings towards him. They had their own opinion of him. And that was hatred. He was a spoiled little brat. Didn't like him whatsoever. They told their father the evil report, so he tattled on them what they were doing. exposing their plans or their actions to their father. So maybe he reprimanded them somehow. So he was telling on them. It doesn't say what, but like clearly when they sent him to Dothan, they weren't where they were supposed to be. So they do stuff that they're not supposed to be doing. And Joseph was telling his father the information he needed to know. So that's why he sent him to Shechem to go check on his brothers, but they ended up going to Dothan. So they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're not being obedient children. So therefore, Joseph wants to tattle. So because of the last time that Joseph had tattled on him, they conspired to kill him. Well, they hated him first, but then because he had tattled on him before, that hated him even more. And then his dreams didn't make it any better. So, they conspired against him to kill him, to destroy him, and get rid of him. So, I don't keep repeating, but we can feel that way, feel left out, feel like people are favored, or they're feel like they're favored, feel like they're special, brown nosers or whatever. They're like your right hand man. Think the people that aren't the right hand person feel like they're not as special. They're feel lesser somehow. So there's jealousy there. There's offense there. So that can happen in the workplace. That can help in families, especially with children in this instance. So it can happen anywhere else, but like tattletales, and kids don't like tattletales, especially when they're not doing what they're supposed to be, and they don't want to get in trouble. That's why it's important that we do what we're supposed to be doing. I know the Lord looks at our hearts, and He sees everything. So immediately, He's gonna know what we're doing. So we can't hide anything from God. But the Lord the scheming, conniving, and the plan to kill his brother, his beloved brother, that they hated him so much they had no thought or feeling or thinking about how it would affect their father. They just knew their hatred. They knew they hated him very, very much. But Reuben thought about their father. He said, just throw him in the pit. Don't kill him, throw him in the pit. And then later he's going to give him back to his father, safe and sound. Maybe a little dirty from the pit. But he went to Gilead, or he went somewhere, right? He went somewhere. When he came back, Joseph wasn't there because the brothers had taken him out and sold him to the Ishmaelites. So, you got that one brother. Like Reuben was the oldest. He knew better. He had thought about he knew better. He knew consequences. He probably had a lot of consequences. He had many brothers, so he probably either picked on some or got in trouble a lot, or got blamed for a lot because he was the oldest. So he didn't probably want to know consequences from his father from this if Joseph went up missing or something. So they had sold Joseph, dipped his coat in blood. They're deceiving their father, making, forget about Joseph, his beloved son. Forget about him. Is this your son's coat that it's bloody and all torn up? Yeah, it's his. And he knew it. So immediately he is overwhelmed with in awe, and don't know what to think, and with sadness and depression, and loss of all hope because his beloved son from the wife he so loved is dead in his mind because he doesn't know the truth. They just deceived him. Like, how do you do that to somebody? Your own father, who said you were jealous of because Joseph was the favorite. You're going to get rid of your brother, get rid of the favorite, the narc or the tattletale, so that you can keep doing what you're doing, but you're hurting your father at the same time. Like, have you done that? Have you done something to really hurt? To do something to somebody, but then not really think about what's going to happen to somebody else? Like adultery, for instance. Have you, just for like your own self-pleasure, your own relief, that you go and sleep around to benefit you, but not think about what happens to the other person? Or cheating off somebody, like you're in school and you cheat off somebody's test. Or you steal something from someone, like a loved one. Like you steal a piece of property, a piece of jewelry, or you go to pawn it off, sell it off. Some precious, maybe it's an heirloom. It's worth some money, but you don't think about the other person. You just want what you want. You might sell it for drugs. Sell it to the pawn shop to get money for drugs. Or something that you want. Have you ever done that? You know somebody did that? And not thinking about another person's feelings? When they found it missing, their beloved, there's no replacing that. Just like Jacob, thinking that Joseph was dead, there was no replacing Joseph, his favorite son. Just like that I know for a lot of people who lost a loved one, there's no replacing them. It's hard. It's saddening. You're overwhelmed with emotion. I lost my father at the age of 17. It's very hard. And then, it was so emotional. My siblings and I were going through things and maybe get in a little bit of an argument. It's been 20 plus years now since he passed. I've since moved on. Do I miss my dad? Yeah. But I don't dwell on it. I don't let his death hold me. And that's because life goes on. Life really does go on. And then I pray that, my dad went to church, but, and I pray that he was truly saved and belonged to the Lord, and that I'll see him one day. Same with my grandparents and those who went before me. And I pray that I will see my children up there. I will see them when the Lord calls us home. But can you imagine that? Thinking that your child is dead, there's no replacing. They gave him a false report. They deceived him, making him think he was dead. Why would you do that? Why would you deceive your father, make him think that, put him in his lowliest estate, thinking that his favorite son that he cannot replace, because you can't replace the loved one, you can't replace the child, because They're in your heart. He had deep love. He loved Joseph more than he loved his other sons. I mean, if his other children had died the same way, he would have mourned just as much. You can't replace a child. You can't replace a parent or any other love. You can't. Just like as a child, you lose your favorite animal, your favorite dog or cat. Something happens to them. They die of old age because they've been there a while since you've been born. I had dogs there when I was young, and then they eventually passed away, which they all often do. I was a teenager when it happened, so we had them before I was born. But they were all I ever knew, and you could not replace them. I got a new dog that looked. When I got older, I got a dog that looked similar to one of them, and it just wasn't the same. You can't replace that. You might name them in memory of, but you can't replace that person. You have memories with that person. You have a connection with that person that you can't get back. So be careful of our actions. Don't do things out of hatred. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be transparent with you. My old marriage, my last marriage, not the one I'm in now, but is the one that I had a divorce from, that I was angry before I got saved. I got angry at my ex-wife, and I knew a woman, and I committed adultery. I had sex with her behind my wife's back, and I got saved. I asked the Lord for forgiveness from that. You have to ask yourself for forgiveness. Forgive yourself from that. And a few years ago, it's been almost 10 now, that I got my children back from her after she passed away. But shortly before that, I was saved. I was remarried, and we had a conversation, she and I, about forgiveness, and whether she said that God would never forgive me for that. I'm like, but God has. I asked her if she had forgiven me, and by her attitude, I don't think she had. But maybe that conversation didn't go too much longer, but we stopped talking. But then it was shortly thereafter, a few days later, that I learned that she had passed away. And I pray for my children's sake that their mother got saved within that time. Because I would not want my children to get to heaven and not see their biological mother. So it's not worth it. I lived with guilt for years about cheating on her, about committing adultery. I don't know if it was more for because of the kids, because of her, because maybe I felt some feelings for her. I didn't think about her feelings. I was angry. There was word that she had done the same to me and cheating on me, so part of it was possibly getting payback. And that's not the answer. Don't give in to hatred. Don't give in to your emotions to hurt somebody else because of how you feel. This wasn't getting back at their father, but they did not think about the repercussions of what would happen. Please think about things. Think before you act and do. it could really affect somebody else. This really, tore their father up. That it was not really. It doesn't sell for a while that he was able to recover from it until he has seen Joseph again later, and we'll get to that. It really destroyed him, hurt it, broke his heart, and that often does. When you lose a child, when you hear that somebody has betrayed you, can you imagine what Joseph is going through? He knew his brothers weren't close to him, but this really probably broke his own heart, because his brothers betrayed him and sold him into slavery, and betrayed him that much. I don't know if they had thought about how he thought about how it affected his father, but indeed it did affect his father. And his father said, "I will go into my grave mourning my son." So that's how sad and depressed and broken his father was. Their father was. So think about your actions, your words that can really do some harm, your actions, and then don't let any offenses, don't react out of emotion, out of hatred. It just can make things worse, especially those you really care about. I mean, you don't really care. They didn't really care about Joseph. They hated him, even though he was his brother. But they had no idea how it would be towards their father, how their father would react from what they led him to believe, that he was dead and no longer living. So please, think about it. Think about your words. Think about your actions. Before you do them, before you say them, it can really destroy somebody. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. And your actions can do the same thing. Life and death. You can hold life or death in your hands. You can hurt somebody, or you can with the hammer, you can either build or you can destroy with the hammer in your hands. So think about that. Let's build people up, not tear them down, not do things to destroy them, not do things but also think about how our actions are going to affect others, not just ourselves, not just for relief from a burden, not just to have that relief, like adultery, for instance, drugs. How does drugs affect a family? You become addicted, and you need it, and you deceive. You can run out of money quickly, and then you start stealing to go sell. You steal stuff from loved ones, and then you burn bridges and break relationships just for a fix. It just goes downhill from there. You burn bridges. You're no longer connected, having a relationship. And then your loved ones may just decide say, "You're dead to me. I no longer want to have any relationship with you." I'll tell you what. No matter what you've done, if you've done any of those things, committed adultery, done drugs, and burned bridges with anything, with anybody like that, you've deceived people, you've hurt people, no matter what, anything like the drugs, the adultery, the sex, or whatever, the Lord can redeem you. He can heal you of anybody that's done that to you. Let's say if you were like Joseph's father Jacob, they did that to you. He can, he might say, "Oh, I didn't want to talk to you anymore." He didn't know that happened. They didn't know what was going on behind the scenes. I'm sure later he found out. And the story had been told eventually. But maybe they took it to the grave with them. I don't know. But the Lord can bring redemption. He can heal relationships. If you've hurt somebody that way, He can heal you. If you've lost somebody legitimately, He can heal you. He can restore your soul. Like what you feel is missing. You just got to call on to the Lord to help you. Lord, restore my soul. Give me back what I once lost. Give me love again. Give me life again. Give me joy and peace again. Something that like if you lost somebody, that person gave you when you were with them in a relationship with them. Joseph gave Jacob so much joy. He was his favorite. He was very pleased when he gave him a coat of many colors. He loved him so much. He loved him more than all of his children. So therefore, he was favored. He loved him a lot. And it was taken away from him, momentarily and deceitfully, thinking he was dead, but he really wasn't. But the Lord brings restoration and redemption. So he brought, he brings restoration and redemption, and that's what happens in the story. In Joseph's story, that he restores Joseph back unto Jacob eventually. And brings redemption to the brothers because they had done him wrong. So it brings redemption to the brothers, and they're forgiven, and it was for God's purpose. But that's a broken bridge between families. But the Lord can heal that. Man broken relationships. And the Lord did this. Do I know what happened later? Like when they got to Goshen, did they have anything? No. It doesn't say anything like that. It says they lived there until the very end, until no one knew Joseph any longer. So they didn't say that there was a division between them because they had done that. I think when Joseph came back, even if the father had heard what happened, that the father would forgive him because he still had Joseph back. And that's the way the Lord is. That's the way the Lord is. He brings redemption. He brings, no matter what you've done, against him, you've tried to deceive him, you've done things your own way, you've done things to please yourself, to get rid of burdens and this and that, and the Lord can make the wrongs right. He can restore you. He can restore your soul, restore your situation, restore relationships. That's just how good God is. And he sent Jesus Christ, his only son, to die for you on the cross, to restore you to him, make you back in right standing with him, so you can be with him in paradise. You can be with him in heaven. He did that for you. He wanted to redeem you. He sent his son to redeem you through the shedding of his precious blood, by the blood of the Lamb, blood of Jesus Christ. He wanted to redeem you and reconcile you with him, the Heavenly Father. Isn't God good? So, please think about your actions. And if you do mess up, if you do things out of emotion and you realize you hurt somebody, you found out you hurt somebody, please go back. Ask for forgiveness from that person. And first turn from it, not doing it again, but ask for forgiveness from that person. Don't do it again. Don't repeat it. Say you're sorry. Ask for forgiveness. It might take some time, but the Lord will heal that relationship. Just trust him. Call out to him. Pray to him. Humble yourself. Know you messed up. Ask the Lord to help you. Ask you to mend that. Ask Him to mend that relationship. And I believe He will, and I know that He will restore you. Restore that relationship. So, go forth in peace, in the love of Jesus Christ. Amen.